We're going to go ahead and get started. First of all, everybody, thank you for coming by. Of course, we are here in Converse, Texas. It's been a while since I've been away from home myself, but I want to thank everybody. I'm sorry?
I know you're from San Antonio.
Oh, yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'm everywhere. And but yeah, I want to thank everybody. We are here celebrating the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, of course, 50th anniversary. Yes. And of course, we've got two of the originals here in our with us today. The rest, of course, are from the franchise. So Texas Chainsaw Massacre from Part 2. We've got Kemper Kill, the man himself, of course, Brett Wagner. I'm going to go down the list. I wrote a couple of sheet notes because I did want to include a few things. But at the far left, we've got Elmore, played Leatherface, Part 2. Now, the guy has been a stunt actor, and I begged him not to jump out of the window earlier because it was dangerous. So, thank you for not doing that. It's a liability. Now, of course, Brett Wagner, my man, you've been a narrator. I mean, for Monster Garage, which is huge. I mean, something that I actually grew up watching. Finally seeing the face behind the voice, it matched. I'm not going to say you're not a bad-looking guy, but, of course, I believe there was a part where you actually got to host the show.
I hosted Monster Garage a couple different times when Jesse James, his appendix burst, and once he was arguing with Discovery Channel, and so they're like, hey, who's that big guy that does the voice? Bring him in. Yes, no. So that was fun. And
the reason I wanted to bring that up was because there's always opportunity when it comes to being in film. I mean, whether you're an extra, you're working lights, doing sound. From what I've read, I mean, when it comes to a lot of the first movies, from whether it be Halloween, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, low budget, so they used what they had, and a lot of times, yes, guys from that were working the lights had to play a part, be an extra or use a different body. So that was something that I always appreciated because you're never in the wrong place, always there at the right time. So definitely take advantage of this.
And we are told never to say no.
Exactly.
Right?
Yes.
So I did a commercial. My first commercial I ever did, they said, you can fly fish, right? And I said, yes. Of course I can.
I'll learn.
And then I spent 2 weeks in a Big 5 parking lot with a guy there teaching me how to fly fish.
You were lucky you had 2 weeks.
I did. I was very lucky. And I still didn't look good in the commercial, but
But you still got the part though, right?
I got paid.
There you go. There you go.
I've been on bicycle safety films and the lead can't ride a bike.
Oh my God.
Monster Garage was a big deal for me. It got me into reality public, people's eyes, and I've always tried to do everything from that to hosting Pastime, that drag racing show I did, which we raced at, now I think it's called Elmore, San Antonio Raceway Park. So as an actor, as an entertainer, you just always say yes. They want you to do a podcast, you say yes. Can you do a radio show? I sure can. Whether you can or not.
No, for sure. And of course, we're going to move on. Daniel Pearl, my man. I mean, of course, cinematographer. The guy was the guy behind the lens. So, yes, of course, yes. And many, of course. I mean, when it comes to being in music, you did a lot of videos. You've done tons of commercials. So I got to ask you, I think there was only one credit where you actually got credit for being an actor. And I think you got to be it was a documentary?
Probably a documentary. I'm terrible in front of the camera.
Well, and that was my question. I mean, during this whole time, you never wanted to be in front. I mean, you were happy with where you were at.
He's got a face for radio.
There you go. I didn't want to say it, but thank you.
Maybe I know too much. I'm very self-conscious of, am I taking the light right? Am I lining up the angle? And maybe I'm too worried about the cinematography. That's why it's not, these guys, they know how to just let it go.
Yeah.
And just get so into their character that they may not even, while they're performing, might not even be aware there's a crew around them.
No, yeah. I mean, you're too busy doing your crafts, of course. I completely understand. And of course, we're going to move on. Alan Dazinger, my man, not only the man with the plan, but the man with the van. Unfortunately, it's not with us today. Now, you actually had a replica of the van itself. And I think at one point you had talked about picking up a hitchhiker one time.
No more. I mean, the sad thing is I was taking it in to be serviced, and it broke down.
Oh,
and
man.
So it had to be towed, and they still haven't been able to figure it out. So, and because of the holidays, so sadly I don't have it to bring to San Antonio. That was my hope. So another time.
No, for sure. And of course, I'm sure you'll be back. The first time I met you, I mean, I had the honor to actually talk to you and bring up a few key points when it came to the film, because of course when Texas Chainsaw Massacre came out, I mean, you actually worked with Tobe Hooper at one point before the movie
Yeah,
itself.
I was in his first movie called Eggshells,
Yes.
and nobody saw that movie. But they liked me, and so when they wrote Chainsaw, because I wasn't an actor, and you read some of the reviews, you know that's the truth. But they asked me to play this character, Jerry.
Is that why they had you killed off, or is that just?
What's that?
Was that why he had you killed off because of your
Yeah,
acting, or?
yeah.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
It was in the cards.
There you go. And of course, I mean, you got to drive the actual van. So for you to get a replica, was that something that you just wanted to do? I mean, for most people bring props, they bring, shirts. I mean, you got a whole van. So what's up with that?
No. I just happened to be scrolling a Chainsaw fan a website, and there was this van, and a fan had said that looks just like the van from the movie.
And boom.
And I called, and the guy, it was in North Dakota, and the fellow that answered the phone, his name was Scott Key, and just to make conversation, I said, "Are you any relation to Francis Scott Key, who wrote the Star Spangled Banner?"
Yeah.
And he said, "Yes, I am."
Wow.
He's a great uncle.
That's cool.
And I said, "Do you still have the van?" He said, "Yes, it's up on blocks." And I said, "Well, I'm the OG, I guess I got it." And he drove it down, he trailered it, and then I took it into my mechanic, and after about 2 years, it finally, got where it was able to run, and we took it to Houston, and then back, and then
They made
it's
it.
gone around, yeah. So.
Wow. You see, and I actually own old pickup trucks. So, of course, when it comes to parts, a lot of times we have to pull them out of junkyards just because they're not in circulation, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Can I say something
Yes,
about the van? We had two vans. A very good friend of mine was the sound recorder, Ted Nicolau, and he had a van, and I had a van, and they were both pretty new vans. The Econolines would just move the engine up front, and so we told Toby, we got two vans, and so here's the plan. We're going to shoot in the little van, the smaller van, and we're going to put the bigger van for the equipment. And Toby goes, no, you guys have got it all wrong. I go, what? He goes, yeah. I said, we're going to shoot in the big van, and you're going to stuff the shit in the smaller van.
And it worked out.
One of the two vans, is it that in by the gas station?
That's not the real
not,
thing,
no.
no.
Okay.
It's a poor imitation because the door isn't even the right door. You
Okay.
need the sliding door.
And there's 30 cats underneath that van, by the way. You
I looked
want
at-
to be careful taking a picture by that thing.
I didn't take a picture of it, but they do have really good barbecue.
They do.
No, it's all
We can do better. And we will do better.
There you go.
Is
There
that
you
a
go.
promise?
That's a promise.
All right, I'm gonna come see you tomorrow.
Oh, man,
That's a
there you
little
go.
early.
I know.
We're working on it.
And now, of course, we're going to move on. Caroline Williams, thank you for joining us today. It's a pleasure. And I mean, when it comes to being an actress, I mean, of course, you've done tons of TV shows. You've done tons of movies when it comes to horror. Some not horror, but my question is, I think you had stated in one interview that you got into acting late. Or, I mean, not so much late because I just started last year. So, of course, but you were...
Late. Yeah, because I was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
I didn't start acting classes till '83,
Yeah.
and got cast in my first movie for Louis Malle. It was called Alamo Bay
Right.
in Corpus.
And of course, you are from Texas.
I am.
Now, you see, and I was going to ask because on IMDb it has you from Rusk, Texas, and I actually looked it up.
They get everything wrong on there. I'm actually a man. Okay, don't come after me. Don't ask me. But no, they get a lot of stuff wrong on there. And so, no, I was not born in Rusk, Texas.
Oh,
I don't
okay.
even know where Rusk, Texas is.
I know. I actually looked it up because I was like, I've never heard of it. But I mean, there's a bunch of small towns in Texas I still don't know exist.
Yeah.
But being from Houston, I mean, of course, acting. I mean, what was it that got you into acting first off?
Gosh, I was working for a film production company. We traveled back and forth to Mexico. We made TV commercials for the Mexican market.
Oh, nice.
And, Manzanilla, we did El Presidente Brandy, we did Manzanita, we did, what are the papas fritas? What are they called? Sabritas.
Sabritas, yes.
And before, oh my God, I'm really dating myself. Before Las Hadas opened, when Las Hadas opened in Manzanillo, we were the film production company that were taking all the photos of that. So I was there at the beginning, dude.
And you speak Spanish?
I do.
Oh,
Well,
okay.
conversational, as a matter of fact, yeah. Conversational Spanish. I really want to do some stuff. I really want to work here in Texas because, you know, Tejanos.
Yeah.
And there's a whole world of stories in Texas centered around Tejanos and the whole thing. I mean, it's just, yeah.
No, yeah, I'm actually going to Mexico next year for voiceover, so that's pretty cool. That'll be
Good
my
for
first
you.
getting out of here. But
Good.
of course, I mean, being from Texas, I mean, when it came to the film, I think you had stated at one point that when you went to your audition, you actually went in there with a lot of energy and kind of making a point so that they can, you know, you will get the audition. So I mean, where did that come from?
It was it's actually a very well-known audition story. I just knew if I was going to compete with the people they were auditioning in LA and New York and every other place, that I was going to have to come in really, really strong. And, you know, there was no dialogue and it was all physical action. So I thought, you know, I'm just going to run in working. So I ran screaming down this hallway into the audition room. I pulled the chairs out from under Toby and Kit. I piled them up against the door, and I backed into the corner going, "They live on fear, they live on fear," because that was the only line that was in the audition material. The rest was running and screaming and picking things up and shaking, and it was all that. So, and all the other women were just, they would come in, they would come out, they would come in, they would come out. It was very quiet.
No, and of course, I mean, we're gonna go back that way, but when it comes to the film itself, 1974, you had actually worked with Toby Hooper. What was from him going from that film Eggshells and then going into Texas Chainsaw Massacre? How did he describe it to you? Because I'm curious, because Eggshells was supposed to be like a hippie film.
Yeah.
So for him to go from there to Texas Chainsaw Massacre, I mean, what was it how did he explain it to you?
Well, he explained it by saying they made no money.
There you go.
You know, with Eggshells, so they had to do something different, and horror was the ticket. But there was a lot of how many people here have seen the movie? Oh wow! Okay. I'm starting to like it myself. And and there is a lot of humor because in some ways it was going to be like a spoof, you know. But then they played it more for the horrific part of it, which it was. And I mean, here it is 50 years later. It's in the National Registry.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Quentin Tarantino refers to it as a perfect movie.
Yeah.
Bill Hader. So I mean, it's unbelievable how this one movie has captured the imagination
Oh, yeah.
of folks like you, even kids. I mean, I'm seeing kids 7 and 8 years old that love this movie. My son is still in therapy. He just saw it coming attractions. 50 years later, he's still in therapy.
I thought my work would be hung in museums, not on people's skin.
Yeah.
There you go. Yes.
Little tidbits we're doling out.
And of course, we're going to move on. I mean, Daniel, when it comes to being working behind the lens, we talked about you not wanting to be in front of the camera, but from video to films, I mean, what were some of the things that people that you worked with that you were like, okay, you know what, I would love to be with that person in a film or in a video?
I'll tell you what, I'll steer it back to Texas Chainsaw Massacre because there's an interesting thing about it. You have to keep in mind in 1973 when we made that film, not like today with CG and computer generated and effects, and basically you're only limited now a little bit by your budget, but more so by your imagination. Well, for us it was quite the opposite. We're not limited by our imaginations because it was early into it and we're free to come up with new ideas. But we were limited by our capabilities at the time. And so Toby said to me, because, you know, Daniel, we can't show this stuff. It's written here that, you know, she gets, you know, cut up, Bill Vale gets cut up, a character Kirk gets cut up, you know, he gets hit on the head. We can't really do this stuff. What are we gonna do? So he said to me, he goes, listen, what I wanna do is, because I believe that this is the scariest thing we can do, more scary than showing it graphically. And excuse me, I should have said initially, that everybody will swear to God that this is the most violent, graphically violent film they've ever seen. It's not. You don't actually see it, right? But the way we design the stuff is done so cleverly that people will argue with you that they see the meat hook that went to Terry McMahon's back. I swear to God, and you do not, right? But what Toby said to me, he goes, Daniel, we're gonna have our angles, and we're gonna be with clever angles, and where people are seeing it, and right when they think they saw it, we're gonna cut to another angle. And he goes, between with that, so with angles, clever editing, and sound work, he said, we will not show people graphically what's going on, because I would rather they let them scare the shit out of themselves. If we take them up to this point but don't show it, everybody, their own fears, everybody will fill in the blanks and scare the shit out of themselves more than we possibly could if we showed it. And shooting on a remake, where we actually do see Mike Vogel get his leg cut off, you know, because we could now. 29 years later, we got CG. But is it any more effective? I don't think so.
No. You see, and I can definitely relate, because I think you had spoken about, I mean, us growing up in that era where our imagination was what we had. I mean, for us, you know, having toys, we didn't have the cars to go with it, so we had to imagine a vehicle or imagine a tree being a mansion.
That doesn't get enough credit is Bob Burns, because he came up with all the props, the way the bones and whatnot, and how Terry, Pam in the movie, how they put the harness on her.
Yes.
Very cleverly, you know, so it looks like, you know, it's really happening.
Yeah, Dottie came up with the harness, because he realized that her wardrobe is set, that she's wearing this halter top with these very short cutoffs. And Dottie Pearl, my first wife, she was the makeup artist on the film. She'd not worked one day. That's a pretty amazing story, actually. What happened, but it's a long story. I'll spare everybody. I can tell you again later. Anyhow, what they did was they came up with that they have to hide this, right? And the way that you think that the meat hook is planted into her back, right, is that you see the camera with the meat hook right in the foreground as she's being brought over there, and you cut around as Gunnar got her, lifts her up, right now, and then he brings her down, and she goes, oh, once you reach the bottom of the travel. All right, so what's happened is, you got the angle, they're coming at it, right? Cut. Now, she puts on this harness that's got like basically a modified parachute harness, right? She's got straps right around her crotch, right, that are hidden small enough to be inside those cut-off shorts, and a single strap going up the back, because can't have shoulders like a parachute harness has. And they put an O-ring at the top of that strap that goes up the back, has an O-ring on it, right? So now when you cut the angle, where you see where she's coming towards it, when you cut around now, the hook, we've turned the hook around the other way. The hook now is pointing away from her back on this angle, and the O-ring is already on it. So when he brings her down,
perfect.
I mean, she actually comes to a very quick stop because of the travel of the ring. Hits the bottom of the hook, and it stops, and she gets jolted, and that's very convincing.
And this will be on the final.
Yeah.
Make sure you're taking notes.
And of course, I mean, we're gonna go on. Brett Wagner. I mean, like we mentioned earlier. I mean, Kemper Kill. Unfortunately, it was.
Well, let me tell this.
Yes,
People
yes.
don't know the story. I was very excited. Obviously, they were looking for a local hire, from what I understood, to play Leatherface in Texas, and a lot of us who are actors that started acting because of horror. I loved horror movies, and I wanted to be an actor because of Phantasm, and Night of the Living Dead, and all this stuff, and Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And I went in. I found out that they were casting a little small part for something. I was at a commercial audition, and it said TCM, door number 5 TCM, door number 6 Bud Light. So I was like, wow. I call my commercial agent, and I say, see if they have cast Leatherface yet. And he calls back, says no. I said, can you put me on tape? Can they put me on tape? And she goes, yeah, come in tomorrow. So I went to Salvation Army, I was 350 pounds, I was a lot bigger than I am now. And I put this suit on I bought, I didn't fit in it. And she said, what do you want to do? I said, just roll the cameras. And I said, Mr. Bay, you don't want to waste this role on some bouncer in Texas or some guy who used to play for the Dallas Cowboys. So Leatherface was a big meaty son of a bitch, and I said a few other things, and then there was a little camera girl, and I put her over my shoulders real quick, and she screamed, "Hey, put me down!" I said, "I'll see you in Texas." Next day, casting director calls back and said, "Michael Bay thought you were funny. You got the gig." Well, we're there a couple days before we had the first full day of shooting, and I got heat stroke. So I went outside, drank 7 Gatorades, came back in, my bag had tightened up. So when you see me slamming that door shut, I was in so much pain. In fact, we still had to shoot a few more scenes with me dragging him. Someone had a skateboard, thank God. And we put Eric Balfour is not that he's a heavy guy, he's just tall and lanky.
Yeah.
Now my back's already fried, so now I'm dragging him on a skateboard and we're getting these shots, and finally they slam the door. But, it's obviously I was very disappointed, but they asked me, how long do you think it'll take for your back to heal? And I said a week, and they didn't have a week. And then they flew Andrew in, and a couple days later, and he did a great job. But, and for years I didn't want to accept it. But as I've gotten older, and getting to meet guys like, hang out with the man here and some other guys and R.A. Mihailov, I've accepted that, listen, I was Leatherface for a day, and I still got a good kill in. And I'm very proud of it, and I'm just excited to be even a little part. 58 seconds, by the way, Daniel, 58 seconds. 58 seconds as Leatherface, still a pretty cool deal to me.
No, for sure. And I will say, your kill was definitely the exclamation mark in that film. And just the door slamming and just the visual, like you said, I didn't realize that he was on a skateboard, but that makes sense because he went.
A couple, yes, believe me, a couple drags there. Whether or not that was the scene, whether or not that's the one we got, who knows?
No.
But yeah, it's if you think about both the movies and the way this man shot it, it's crazy. It's pretty cool to see that, these guys created something. They definitely created, in my opinion, the first realistic serial killer. Yeah. There was other stuff, but there was also Universal Monsters. There was all this stuff, and Romero did a good job with zombies. But the first real serial killer and Crazy Family, these guys created it, and it made people think, going, "Wow, that's not some guy in a weird Martian outfit. This could be your next door neighbor."
Oh yeah, exactly. It was a
so
human.
What they created, and then to come back and do the remake and just see the craziness that happened in that, it's just it's a big deal, and I'm just so glad that I got to run into him 22 years later. Hanging out here with him and BS, and so pretty cool stuff.
No, for sure, man. Of course, we appreciate everything you guys been doing. And of course, we're going to move up to the end. And when it comes to Bob Elmore, my man, stunt acting. When you first got into this, were you thinking, okay, you know what, I want to jump off buildings or through windows? What was your first take in the whole acting gig?
I got it. I wanted to see if I could make a living out of it when I started. And fortunately for me, over the years, I did make a living. I think my first job was somebody called Gene LaBelle, famous stuntman, judo expert.
Judo Gene?
And he sat unseen. Ernie Orsatti gave me a job on Remington Steel.
Yeah.
And it was a 2-day job. Now, a 2-day job was a lot of money. And that's the only job I ever did with full beard. Now, it was brown, and I had hair. But it was I played a lady's boyfriend, and I got killed, and we got a big fight, and blah, 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 blah. And I'm not an actor, and I never professed to be one. I just can't do it. I can't do it like
Yes, you can.
No, I can't.
Well, you did
And-
great in the smokehouse scene.
No.
Yes, you did.
And, but
Yes,
now
you
we get
did.
into this situation where
You did.
Bill Johnson got sick. He, had something, and hey, they put me into this, and I made a lot of money. I was working double contracts. It was crazy back then, and everything was practical. So what you saw, that happened.
Yeah.
If you fell, you fell. And I broke my wrist on the bridge scene, and Tom Morgan had to put the suit on, so Thomas played Leatherface, Jason, Michael Myers, all of them, at one time or another over his career. And he almost got killed at the very end of it. So that was the second take, because the first take they couldn't see it. So now we had to go back and do it all over again. And Toby was irate because there was a lot of money involved and all that. And Tom Savini was crazy. And what an experience. And that was like the hardest thing I ever, it was the hardest job I ever did in all my career. But to look back on it, man, it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. And Chainsaw Love with my beautiful Caroline Williams.
There you go. There you go.
I just want to throw something in. Sorry about Bob. You know, Bob's a big badass, and he's bad, and he's got a saw, and he's going to fight everybody. He's a bad guy. We go pick him up in the van one morning, and it's real fucking early, and I'm in the front seat. I go, I'll go up and go knock on the door. I go up there. He opens the door. He's got a twin room with the 2 beds, right? One bed, clearly he slept in it. It's a mess. Other bed, piled almost to the ceiling with toys for his kids.
Well, I missed her birthday, so I kept buying all this stuff.
Sweet.
We didn't have a lot of time off. I mean, we really did.
We had no time
Yeah,
off.
we had
no time off.
The stunt team were working 7 days a week. We worked
Yeah.
6 on the show, and then we prepped on Sunday for Monday, because
Yeah.
we wanted to be ahead of everything.
Yep.
And that's how we worked it. So every chance I could get, and we didn't get too many chances. And so I brought home a lot of stuff for her. But again, what an experience. I mean, this is a one in a lifetime type deal that happened for me. And I've been in a lot of stuff. I've done a lot of things over the years. And but this one is just
The gift that keeps giving.
it absolutely does. I never thought in my life that this would happen. Never. And it's been so. You guys,
I know.
fans.
We owe it all to you
And you
guys.
guys weren't even born then.
I know.
I was.
Okay.
A couple.
It's a generational movie. The whole franchise is generational now. You know, grandma, grandpa, sons and daughters, and their kids, and so on. So,
I was just gonna say, I just got back from Tokyo.
Yes.
And I was there for 2 weeks, and that's just so across the continent, and wherever Grandpa John Dugan and myself, I mean, we got standing ovations when we got there.
Yeah, that's
I mean, there were no chairs, so they were all standing.
Got no choice.
I mean, it was just incredible. And I refer to us as the Marco Polo and Ponce de Leon of this franchise, because, you know, we kind of set the stage and planted the seed. So I'm hoping
Nobody
that-
had been there before you
No,
guys.
no.
In Japan.
Well, he's been there, but not under chainsaw auspices.
But
Man.
not as a signing
Right,
fan
right, yeah,
event
yeah.
thing.
No.
And
You were working.
And we had our own, you know, translator, and you know, I would tell the stories, and then he would translate, and people laughed at the right time. So funny is funny,
Nice.
you know, across the
No
continent.
matter what language.
And of,
Excuse me.
No matter funny.
No
is
matter
funny.
what, no matter what language.
and of course, you guys didn't lose John Duggan out there, did you?
Did we what?
Y'all didn't lose him
We
out there?
tried to,
Oh,
but-
okay. Now, I was gonna go, Bob Elmore, I was gonna ask you, because also in the movie, I mean, there was no CGI, so of course, for everybody to know, you actually did have hair, and your beard was actually brown, so that was all you,
I
right?
didn't have a beard then because I had a flipping mask on.
Oh, okay, okay,
And I
okay.
wore a wig, and but again, we beat each other up so much. Dan Berenger, who doubled Bill Moseley in the movie,
Yeah.
he had and if you watch it, he did a thing where Caroline kicks him or something, and Beth Duffer was her double,
Mhm.
and he goes flying down this hill into a tube. Right? Cut. No film in the camera.
Oh, man.
Take 2. Here we go. And he's beat up. That's practical. And he did it again. But Caroline, shoot, we were in a scene and we're running up and down this flipping tunnel, and we're being chased by an ATV with a camera on it,
That was scary.
and it was not moving slow. So we're running and running and running all day long in this heat that was unbearable.
Okay.
And
And here you are in full get up, man.
The full cowboy boots.
He still gets in the get-up.
There you go. There you go.
I have boots too.
There you go. And of course, in that film, that chainsaw. 'Cause, I mean, you a couple times. How many? You know, you had to hover that thing over your head.
74
So
pounds, and it was the biggest chainsaw at that time.
yeah.
And the longest blade, and oh my God. And I stole this from Gunnar Hansen because I saw him do it. Is when he put the chainsaw over his head. Well, I in there like a fool, and I go, hey. Oh, we like that. Do that every time. Oh, every single time. I go, oh no. That was my fault.
I just want to
Yes,
throw something
yes.
in. The Leatherface that you see in Chainsaw 2 is far more athletic and has far more camera time than the other Leatherfaces in some of the other films, because Leatherface, it's like, wow, you know, he's a jump scare. But in this one, you know, he actually is a character, and he's in love with Stretch, and it's a whole thing. And, you know,
All for love.
And Toby Hooper's yelling. You know, I don't know how to act. And I'm
He
like,
did.
What do you want me to do? So I had Toby was yelling at me. John Moyo, who was the stunt coordinator, he's yelling at me over here. And then we're mixing this all up. You know, I'm just pulling I had hair then, I was pulling it out. And she was gracious. She went along with everything I did. And it worked out pretty good, I think.
When we were doing the smokehouse scene, which is probably the closest the camera was on your face, because those close-ups would have usually been Bill.
Yeah.
Bill Johnson, not as athletic. This guy's a professional athlete, basically. So whenever the saw had to be going and tearing down the radio station and sawing into the ice from the ice bucket, all that kind of stuff, and the ATV and the running and all the things. That's all Bob. But the thing that was great, when we're in the smokehouse, the camera is very, very close to your face, and we're, you know, it's like this, and he didn't even realize it, but he had sort of absorbed all of the little gestures and things that Bill Johnson had created. And that's why when you see everything cut together, it's so seamless. And you can't tell them, most of the time, you can't tell them apart from one another. I mean, it's known
But I
now.
made more money.
Because Bill could not, you know, Bill could not, that ATV sequence where I'm being chased and everything, you know, it's not a paved surface. It's rocky and dirt and rutted, and, you know, if anything goes wrong, somebody's gonna get fucked up.
Yeah.
You know? And Bob made sure it wasn't me.
We worked so hard on that.
Lifelong friend.
You
Yeah.
know, so it was quite an experience. I had not seen Caroline in so many years, and I ran into her at a convention, and I heard this noise. And I go, that sounds so familiar.
Uh-oh.
That was her. And
That's
just
how loud I
like
am.
we finished the show, you know, the day before, and now we're catching up, and just it's been great, absolutely great.
No, for sure. And of course, and I was going to ask that about you guys, because when it comes to conventions, I've noticed a lot of you guys, and I don't know if it's on purpose or if you have the same manager, but you tend to do events together. So I mean, you do build up that friendship. I mean, you're able to catch up, and I'm sure there's scenes that you were like, man, whatever happened, that you know that you didn't know maybe that he did,
So
or
many
vice
lies
versa.
to each other. Absolutely.
There was an appearance that we made at Monsterpalooza in LA, and Bob was there, Bill was there, and Bill Mosley was there. So the fans were just in chainsaw heaven. I mean, you know, the stories and talking and hanging out and getting things signed and doing their thing. And I think the promoters very actively want that they like these
Oh, yes.
reunions.
The reunion thing's a big deal. I mean, we all
It's
just
very
did
big.
Scarefest.
Scarefest,
I
huge.
saw that.
Kentucky this year, where we had 6 Leatherfaces.
That was
Like
wild.
tenders.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, that's right, like the 3
Yeah.
things. Yeah, the reunion's a big deal thing, right? So they're always trying to capitalize, and thank goodness this year, because of these guys, the 50th anniversary, there was a lot of people booking, you know.
No, definitely.
So I got to hang out with these guys and hang out with Alan at
CreepyCon.
Creep by Econ,
Yeah.
which was great. we had a 50th anniversary deal. We had a lot of
And
the
me
guys
and Bob
in.
were there.
And that's right.
Yeah.
We were all in the other room in the back,
yeah.
but that was fine. But yeah, so it's a big deal right now. I mean, next year is the 40th anniversary of Return of the Living Dead.
Oh, yes.
So you're going to see Tom Matthews and everybody, Linnea, and all these. They're going to be at every show with there, but it's a good thing.
And we, Chainsaw 2 will have its
That's right.
Yeah.
2 next year. So,
You see, and that's why and I didn't think about that, but yeah, that's true. I mean, there's gonna be a lot of
we're
anniversaries
fucking
next
old,
year.
Dick.
I'm right there with you.
I'm older than you, Mama.
Now, Caroline, let me ask you when it comes to show business, because of course, you know, you're an actress. You have 2 kids, from what I
2
understand.
kids, grown now,
Right.
29, 26.
Now, because mom and dad are in show business, are they in show business as well, or is it?
Ooh. My older son is autistic, very high functioning, and the biggest fan of all of this
Nice.
ever. I mean, he would be, this is his element.
Yeah.
This is where he would love to live.
I
and spend-
FaceTimed him, she let me FaceTime him,
Yeah.
and I got to talk to him, and he just went berserk.
He loved it.
Remember
He
that?
loved it. Yeah.
Yes, oh.
My
that's cool.
26-year-old has a degree in advanced mathematics from Berkeley. He
Nice.
does not get it from me. But yeah, I just, it's only been maybe the last 10 years that I've been able to concentrate my efforts to kind of get reestablished and really work it, because when you're at home raising kids, you got to be at home raising kids.
No, yeah.
And that's what I did.
But you have been working. Don't.
I have
Oh,
been
yeah.
You've been acting a
working.
lot.
Yeah.
I've got
You've been doing very well.
I've got a really good, well, no, I'm not gonna lie. I've got a fun movie. He Sees You When You're Sleeping. It's streaming now on Amazon Prime. And I shot 2 others this year. But, you know, I would love to do some kind of weird chainsaw. I don't know.
Little fan film,
I
maybe.
don't know.
You
We'll
got
see.
a third one in you, Daniel, right?
Dan said he wouldn't do it anymore.
You got
No.
so many questions.
Yeah, I'm
Yes,
70, I'm
yes.
75
So
years
any
old.
questions from you guys?
Are you done? I'm sorry, sir.
No. I mean, we're fine, because I didn't want to go over the 30, but I mean, these guys, that way you guys can
Go ahead. Mike.
get some rest.
I got a question for Daniel. What's the difference between shooting the original chainsaw and then returning 40 years later
Nice.
to do it again with the new chainsaw? Was there like
Well,
picture difference?
Yeah, I'll tell you a quick story about. Try to keep it quick. Anyhow, when I showed up, of course, they hired me to do the remake 29 years later, and I read the screenplay, and of course, the screenplay has no indication of what year it is.
Right.
So I'm just assuming that there's nothing wrong with the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre. My assumption is that we're doing it 2002. There's going to be an African American in the van. There's going to be an Asian in the van. There's going to be a 2002 soundtrack, so we can make money off of that. So I show up in Texas now, and they go, "Oh, by the way, here's a picture of the van." And I go, that's a 1973 van. And they go, "Yeah." I go, "Well, why? Why are they driving an old van?" You go, "No, it's still 73." I go, "What? Why are we remaking the film? There's nothing wrong with the original one." I go, "Well, Michael Bay has this company, and it's Platinum Dunes, and the remake horror films. This is the first one we're doing, so that's what it's going to be." And they go, "So it's going to be gritty and grainy like the original, right?" And I go, "Well, do you guys want to shoot 16 millimeter?" They jumped up out of it. The 2 producers jumped up out of their chairs going, "Are you crazy? You're going to call up Michael Bay and tell him his first production is 16 millimeter?" No. I said, "Well, good, because you asked for that, but I already did that, right?" And I said, "Here's what we're going to do. Because it's the same time period and the same story," I said, "I'm going to flip the look of this, right? And this is going to be Texas Chainsaw Massacre." I said, well, first I said, in the last 20 years or so, our boss, our leader now here, Michael Bay, our director, Marcus Nispel, myself, and a dozen or 2 dozen other people, we have elevated the visual aesthetic of this audience through MTV with music videos. This will be Texas Chainsaw Massacre for the MTV generation. Right?
Nice.
So they look at each other, and the producers don't know. Marcus Nispel, of course, he knows exactly what I'm telling him. Guys, go away. They go, so they turn to Marcus, they go, what does he mean? And Marcus goes, I guess we'll just have to wait and see, won't we? Basically, the answer to your question, sorry, long answer, is that I decided that I would totally flip it from being something that looked very documentary, very not stylized at all, but just more capturing it, which I have to say that it greatly contributes to the believability of it, because as Bill Hader said, it's not, you're not seeing expressionistic lighting, and you're not seeing all these crazy, wild, shots. I mean, we do make a lot of nice dolly shots, but they're more about the mood and driving things, and not just trick shots for the sake of trick shots. So, that's basically I just did everything I could to flip it.
That's a good movie too.
It's the only remake I like. All the rest are shite. That's
Not
just
the
what I-
Crazies though.
Oh.
That was a really good remake.
The Crazies, the Crazies
That might have
is
been
Romero.
The first one was Romero. The remake was not. But anyways,
The remake. God,
listen,
the remake.
I don't want to toot this guy's
Killing
horn
me.
again, but not only did he shoot both the Texas Chainsaw 74 and 2003, he also did the remake of Friday the 13th
Yeah.
with Derek Mears.
Yes.
So you're looking at a guy who's been behind the camera for two of the highest grossing horror movies in the last 30 years.
There you go. There you go.
And he's here live, ladies and
Right
gentlemen.
here.
Good job.
Any more questions?
And I don't have to work anymore.
There you go. There you go. Anybody else? Questions?
Mike, you got a question? No, he doesn't.
What is the difference between filming movies and filming music videos?
Well, movies could go quite a broad range. Music videos tend to be, of course, there's exceptions to everything I would say to you, but by and large, music videos come up short notice. They're pretty hectic. I like to roll that way. When I was a student, I was a terrible student. I wouldn't study, I wouldn't do anything, but I'm a good test taker, right? That's how I got through school. But, I'm not a guy cracking books for months ahead of time. I just happen to be lucky on the day of the test. So I'm well suited to that world of music video. That's why it's very close to 500 music videos that I've shot. And I'm proud to say that I'm the most nominated top cinematographer in MTV history. I do have 2 Moon Men, one for Guns N' Roses' November Rain. And the other
beautiful.
for,
Yes.
Oh, that was beautiful.
Bravo.
Yeah.
Bravo.
Another one, Michael Jackson, Billie Jean is also me.
I love Michael Jackson.
2 Live Crew?
Oh, yeah.
Could have been him.
But anyhow, they're very different. Because the features that I do are a little bit more like music videos, a little more crazy. Not as structured and not. Although I've done the other pictures, I'm not that happy there either. I did 2 pictures. I had 50. Normally, pictures I have shoot in about 24 to 30 days. It used to be 30 days when it was filmed. When it went to digital, it got cut down to 25, because they say it's faster. Lately, I keep turning down, but I'm offered 18-day pictures all the time. To me, that's just a race. It's, I'm not going to really get to do anything great. It's a race to get it done in 18 days, in my opinion. They all can be different. The 252 days. One is Alien vs. Predator Requiem. And Pathfinder. Pathfinder for me was really very enjoyable experience. It was with Marcus Nispel, who was the director on both the remake of Texas Chainsaw Massacre and the Friday the 13th.
Nice.
That's a wonderful luxury. I don't know how you all feel about the schedule, but when you get something like that in a number of days.
Well, you talk, television was so much faster than motion picture.
On television, you guys are,
It's big setups, that's a scene. And we're doing 15 or 20 setups in a day for television, and maybe 3 or 4 for motion picture, depending on scene-wise. But it's boom, 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 here we go. Take 2, what? Yeah, let's go.
Yeah. Well, Bob, it's funny. I'm very bankable. I mean, when you do a feature film, you take an insurance policy to make sure everybody doesn't lose all the money. And so you have to be, everybody, the cast, all of us have to be bankable with the insurance companies. Before the insurance company will bond the film, They wanna know who's in it. They wanna know that cast they're gonna be on point, they're gonna be getting things done on time, or they're gonna be problem makers, or they're gonna do the job quickly. Well, I've been bankable, can be feature film, anything between 25 days and 52 days. They're fine with me. They tried to bring me in to be the second DP on American Horror Story. No way.
Oh.
He hasn't done television. He
That's
hasn't done it. He doesn't move at that speed.
Oh.
Can't do it. That's fine. And I agree with them. They were right.
Yeah.
I don't disagree. They were right. That's not a speed that I move at. And it's very important that not only do you move quickly, but that you do great work. And the people that have done television for the last 30, 40 years have elevated TV to the state that it is today. The streaming, whole thing of streaming television is fantastic artwork that we have now. They're being done in that genre, in that medium, I should say. And that's all about the work that's been done in the past, and people have done good, fast, hard work.
No? Well, thank you. Anybody else?
Yes, sir.
Yes, for you, Mr. Wagner. What was your favorite vehicle creation on Monster? Sorry.
No, you're good. We did one of the ones that I kind of hosted. We did a U-Haul truck that we made into a professional wrestling ring. So you could be driving down the road, and this guy be road rage, and he goes, pull over, bud. Pull over, and then all of a sudden you hit a button and the U-Haul goes wham, and it's a wrestling ring. So I kind of like that one.
I think dead already.
We did the swamp buggy, the VW that was an airboat. We did the Mustang, the golf ball, the lawnmower. It's a 5.0. Very fun show.
Nice.
Last
That it,
question,
guys?
or we're gonna turn it back
Anybody
over
else?
to the big man.
No, I mean, that's about it, guys. I mean, I want to thank, first of all, everybody that come on here. Thank you, guys.
Because without you guys, we're just jokers. I mean, you decide when you want to be a filmmaker, no matter which part of it you want to be involved with.
Yes.
Of course, it's all about that people are going to see your work. Well, you all have enabled that to happen, and we can't thank you enough for it.
Hopefully we'll see some of you this weekend.
Oh, yes. We'll be out there.
Hopefully we'll see some of the other people there this weekend.
There you go. There you go. Thank you again, everybody. Of course, Michael's Horror and Pinball. Thank you for hosting. Appreciate it, guys.
You just got rid of me on Instagram.
Right?
I'm going to powder